good reminder that wellness is something that changes with us. So, oo, nagbabago ang panahon, yung routines natin nagbabago, and our lives also change, but also our bodies and nutritional needs change as well. And that's what we'll talk about today. So, wellness through life stages. So, how nutrition supports us from childhood to adulthood and healthy aging, and where Reliv can fit into that wellness. So, wellness is a holistic approach to health that considers different areas of our well being that work together. So, hindi lang siya about your physical wellness, your mental wellness, and emotional. Kumbaga, kabuuan mo siya titingnan. So, it's a combination of different aspects of our health. So, for example, yung physical wellness is how our body functions, moves, rests, and recovers. So it supports the body through good nutrition, regular movement, adequate sleep, and recovery. And then for mental wellness, this is how we think, concentrate, learn, and make decisions. So this would be supporting our ability to think, focus, and learn and make decisions throughout the day. And then for emotional wellness, ito ay yung pag-recognize natin ng mga emotions natin. Pag nasa-stress tayo, paano natin nire-regulate yung sarili natin. And these areas actually constantly affect one another. So one good example would be, think about a typical stressful workday. So you slept late, you woke up late. So you woke up tired, you skipped breakfast, tas nagkape ka lang, and then you ate a huge lunch, and you sat most of the day. So, pagdating ng hapon, parang naghahanap ka na ng stress reliever, let's say something sweet, milk tea, ice cream, kasi feel mo nadidrain ka na. Suddenly, something that starts with just sleeping late has affected your energy, your mood, your concentration, your food choices, and physical activity. So, wellness is not one thing. Each part can influence the other. So, when we talk about wellness, one word often comes up is energy. We associate energy with movement. Pero yung mga katawan natin, hindi lang exercise yung kailangan pag sinabi mong energy. So we need energy when we're walking and exercising, yes, but our bodies are also using energy when we're thinking, breathing, digesting food, repairing tissues, and simply keeping us alive. And one of the major places that our bodies get that energy and the materials needed to function is from the food that we eat. So that brings us to nutrition. Every day, you could see that we actually need those nutrition. And food provides more than energy. So what exactly are we getting from our food? So we have macronutrients and micronutrients. These are two important categories. So for macronutrients, this is needed by the body in larger amounts. They provide energy and important building materials. Meanwhile, our micronutrients, which are our vitamins and minerals, they are needed in smaller amounts to support the many processes happening throughout the body. So both actually play an important and complementary role in nutrition. Macronutrients. This is our fuel and then building blocks. So macro simply means we need them in relatively larger amounts. There are three main energy yielding macronutrients. So for our carbohydrates, which is a major source of our energy for the body and found in familiar foods. So yung ating mga kanin, bread, fruits, oats, corn, and kamote. And then for our protein, it actually is responsible for growth, maintenance, and repair. And what we typically eat in our Filipino diet would be yung mga itlog, isda, manok, beef, tofu, munggo. So protein provides amino acids, which our body uses for building and maintaining tissues and producing important compounds. And for fat, of course, It provides energy and forms part of our cell structures and helps our body absorb yung mga fat-soluble vitamins natin, which is vitamins A, D, E, and K. So wellness isn't just about eliminating one entire micronutrient. It's about giving our body an appropriate balance. Kasi syempre, 'di ba, pag sinasabing magda-diet na ako, usually ang tinatanggal agad is yung carbohydrates natin. So, dapat we should consider all three macronutrients in order for us to maintain our day-to-day activities. But here's the interesting part. So, macros aren't enough. We would also need our micronutrients. So, if macronutrients are actually needed in relatively large quantities, micronutrients are required in smaller amounts. So, these are primarily our vitamins and minerals. So, does that mean kung small amount lang yung kailangan, maliit lang din yung importance ng ating mga micronutrients? Syempre, hindi. So, we have, for example, our iron. Kailangan natin yon para yung oxygen sa katawan natin ay nata-transport kung saan siya kailangan. And calcium and vitamin D. Importante yun for our bone health. If we don't have enough of those, it could typically lead to osteoporosis in the long run. And then for vitamin C naman, it contributes to yung immune function and collagen formation. So kaya nga 'di ba laging sinasabi nila na mag-vitamin C ka para hindi ka magkasipon, magkasakit. And then for B vitamins naman, involved in processes that help the body obtain energy from food. And then for zinc, it also involves in multiple processes sa ating katawan and normal function. So micro describes how much we need, not how important these nutrients are. So children aren't just smaller adults. They're actively growing and developing. So nutrition has to support that. So ang pag-iisipan natin dyan is yung growth, yung brain development, yung paglaki ng ating mga buto, yung pagtubo ng kanilang ipin, yung muscle development nila, and then yung energy nila for play and learning. Alam natin minsan, mahirap pakainin ang bata. Today, gusto nila. Tomorrow, ayaw na. So, better, we should be able to establish healthy eating habits as early as we can. It really does matter. And then, of course, for our teens and young adults, now they're becoming more independent. There's school, there's barkada, sports, snacks, fast food, puyat. So food choices actually start becoming their own choices. So this is why it's also important that they still get to eat the adequate protein, fruits and vegetables, nakakainom sila ng enough water, they have a regular eating schedule, and of course, they still remain active. So this stage in our lives, which is the adulthood and healthy aging, is less about growing taller and more about maintaining what we have and supporting our long-term health. This is where consistency actually becomes important. So as we age, priorities shift again. We also increasingly think about maintaining our muscle, so yung ating katawan, yung bone health natin, yung mobility natin, kung paano tayo kumikilos. For example, nakakayuko ka ba, nakakatayo ka ba ng maayos na hindi kailangan sinusuportahan, yung digestive health natin, kung okay ba, and are we still getting adequate nutrition and hydration? And we should also remain active and independent. Healthy aging isn't simply about how many years we live, it's also about what we're able to do with our lives while we're aging. So, alam naman natin na pag tayo naging busy, that would entail us skipping breakfast. So, work can mean that kumakain tayo ng kahit anong oras. Walang fixed na time kung kailan tayo kakain. So, minsan nalilipasan, minsan bumabawi ka ng kain. So, you're eating more than you should. So, and merienda can also be easily be milk tea, cakes, ice cream because you're stressed or your sugary drinks. Stress and sleeping late is actually proven to affect our appetite and food choices. So knowing what our body needs is one thing, meeting those needs consistently is another. And that is one thing that is somewhat challenging for us adults. So yes, food comes first. Nutrition supplements can complement a balanced diet with additional support is appropriate. For children, of course, childhood is a period of rapid growth and development, making adequate nutrition especially important. And Relive Now for Kids provides a combination of vitamins and minerals and micronutrients along with 5 grams of plant-based protein per serving. It actually helps with the way that a child grows and develops normally. So this is designed to support nutrition during the growing years. But it doesn't replace the kanin, ulam, fruits, and vegetables we want our children to eat. It supports the foundation. And of course, our Relive Now for adults is essential nutrition intended to help bridge nutritional gaps created by on-the-go lifestyle. Since ayun na nga, hindi usually fix yung ating mga kain or nabibusy, na hindi masyado prioritize yung wellness natin, this is where it could help with our schedule. Relive Now actually combines vitamins, minerals as well, and is there to help you with your schedule. So, this would be perfect when you don't get to eat on time. You could definitely drink Relive Now. So if you notice, different people have different needs. So ang ibig sabihin nun, hindi porket applicable sa akin yung ganitong approach ay applicable na sa iba. Sometimes, let's say, I would prioritize my physical health, the other would prioritize their mental health or emotional well-being. Individual wellness priorities may look different. So, for example, someone who exercises regularly may be thinking about hydration and performance, while another person may be focused on digestive health, mobility, or healthy aging. So for Fiber Store, it actually supports with digestive health. Fiber is actually an important part of our balanced diet and contributes to normal digestive health, yet it can be easily overlooked when our diets rely heavily on convenience food. So what do I mean by that? So for example, kasi we can have healthier choices. So when we eat normal white bread compared to a wheat bread definitely has more fiber. It actually helps with your bowel movements, helps maintaining your digestive health. So this is where Fiber Store comes into play. They actually provide 10 grams of soluble and insoluble fiber per serving, along with antioxidant nutrients and a botanical blend. So fiber should also come from everyday foods such as vegetables, fruits, beans, mongo, and whole grains. Supplement your fiber intake, but don't replace your fiber-rich foods. And then energize, of course, para sa ating mga active adults. When we're physically active, especially in the Philippines, ang init, sobrang dali ma-dehydrate. So we lose water and electrolytes through our sweat. Energize is actually an electrolyte drink formulated with carbohydrates. Again, as I mentioned earlier, carbohydrates provide energy. So sodium, potassium, and magnesium, along with micronutrients, including vitamin C and zinc. It is actually designed to support hydration and replenishing during active days, exercise, and other physically demanding activities. Pag hindi talaga siya kaya ng tubig lang, this is where Energize will help keep you hydrated, just quenching your thirst, but also hydrating your cells within you. So because supporting an active lifestyle isn't only about movement, it is also what we pack in our bodies. So wellness doesn't have an expiration date. Healthy aging isn't about trying to stop the natural aging process. It's about supporting our bodies so we can continue participating in the activities and experiences that matter to us. So in the long run, pag medyo may edad na tayo, we get to go to places that we want to visit. We get to enjoy the food that we want to eat. And we get to spend more time with our loved ones. That's why it is also important that we take care of ourselves so that we have more time with our loved ones and making meaningful experiences. With Artifact, it is specifically formulated with joint health support, helping connect nutrition with an important part of our aging. So, of course, natural ang wear and tear sa ating mga katawan, yung mga ligaments natin sa tuhod, normal siya na napupudpod in the long run. And Artifact is helpful in maintaining our joint health, in helping cushion our joints. Wala siyang friction na na-experience. It would help with your mobility, with your movement, so mas makakakilos ka pa. Reversage is a targeted dietary supplement formulated with an antioxidant and botanical ingredients, including CoQ10. This actually helps with your overall health. So CoQ10 or coenzyme Q10 is actually a substance naturally produced by our bodies. It helps our cells convert the food that we eat into usable energy, and it also acts as an antioxidant that helps protect our cells from oxidative stress. So our natural CoQ10 levels actually bumababa siya pag tumatanda tayo. That's why this is helpful with when we're growing older, it is helpful to convert the food we eat into usable energy. And then for our Lunar Rich X, which contains a proprietary non-GMO soy blend, it features lunasin, and it targets nutritional support for cellular health and healthy aging. So these are actually all of the things that I've discussed, right? This would help with your longevity and spending time with our loved ones. So eating well the Filipino way. You don't have to stop eating Filipino food to eat well. There's always this connotation wherein Filipino food isn't healthy or masyado siyang mamantika, masyado siyang makarne, masyado siyang fatty or maalat. So, a balanced diet can still include the foods that we already know and enjoy. You think about the balance, the variety, and what may be missing from the overall diet. So for example, laging tinatanggal yung carbohydrates. It doesn't mean that when you're dieting, i-exclude mo na yung isang part of the macronutrients. Remember what I said earlier, that we have to consider all three macronutrients to function in our day-to-day. So for our carbohydrates, that would be our rice, our corn, our kamote, and we don't necessarily have to take that away. We can make better choices. So, kung ayaw mo ng white rice, you can substitute it for a healthier option like a brown rice. For white bread, you can do wheat bread. And then, if you don't want to eat rice, pwede ka rin magkamote. The choices are endless. You don't have to restrict yourselves to enjoy your food. And then for our protein and ulam, or ulam, which is yung mga fish, manok, eggs, tofu, munggo. This is important for growth, maintenance, and repair of our bodies. Pwede naman ding i-substitute yung mga parts. So if you want a more healthier option, for example, sa chicken, you could go with chicken breast instead of yun nga, yung chicken thighs. And then for fish, you can choose a fish na malaman siya. So, hindi mo kailangan pagbawalan yung sarili mo sa pagdating sa mga pagkain. You just have to be smart about what you're eating. So, for our vegetables and fruits, marami tayong mga putahe na magugulay actually. So, for example, our pinakbet, ang daming gulay na makikita doon. We have our okra, ampalaya, yung sitaw natin, may kalabasa. Doon pa lang, parang rainbow na yung ulam na yon. So, and our chop suey as well. And then we're lucky that we live in a tropical country because we have a lot of fruits here that we can enjoy all year round. So, meron tayong mga saging, meron tayong pakwan, mangga. So, these actually provide vitamins, minerals, and other beneficial food components. And of course, let's not forget our water. So, this is your everyday foundation for hydration and nutritional support when appropriate. So, and Relive Now for busy adults. This can be incorporated alongside a balanced diet to provide additional vitamins, minerals, and soy-based nutrition and help complement everyday nutritional intake. So food is the foundation. Supplementation can help. This is not meant for to be replaced with what we eat. This is meant to help us in our everyday lives. So when we are eating, we have to think about, so instead of asking, ano ang bawal? Kasi pag sinabi mong ano ang bawal, parang you're putting yourself in such a negative situation na parang nire-restrict mo yung sarili mo. And that is not what we want to perpetuate, that kind of feeling. But we want to turn that negative mindset into something more positive. So instead of asking that, try asking yourself, ano pa kaya ang pwede kong idagdag para mas balance ito? Ano kayang pwede kong i-substitute if I want something healthier? You do not have to restrict yourself. You do not have to punish yourself to be more healthy, but it's just about really making better choices for yourself. Because in the long run, tayo-tayo lang din ang magbe-benefit sa mga choices at mga pagkain na kinakain natin. Small habits actually add up. So it really is about being consistent. And wellness doesn't require perfection. You don't have to change everything overnight na biglang the next day, iba na agad yung routine mo, iba na agad yung kinakain mo. And that's not how you become consistent. You become consistent by deciding that you're ready to change and enacting small steps in order to change. Of course, you start with small actions you can repeat. You add vegetables to one more meal each day kung hindi ka masyadong nagugulay before, 'di ba? So, one step at a time, one day at a time. So you choose water more often instead of sweetened beverages. You include a source of protein in your meals. You take a short walk instead of waiting for the perfect workout. So at least introduce some movement in your life. Hindi yung parang pag sinabing, oh, kailangan mo na mag-workout, does that mean kailangan mo na ba agad mag-sign up for a gym membership? Kailangan mo na ba agad na, bumili ng gear para makapag-pickleball ka or para maka-join ka na run club? No. Being active doesn't necessarily mean it has to be expensive or it has to be social. It starts with yourself. So just as simple as going out for a walk. And then, of course, give yourself a more consistent sleep schedule para hindi din affected yung ibang parts of our life. So like I said, it affects your appetite and the way we think for our day-to-day. And use supplementation appropriately when it complements your nutritional needs. Supplements are there to supplement. They don't replace food, they don't replace sleep, they don't replace exercise, and they don't replace appropriate medical care. They're one potential component of a much larger wellness picture. Before the end of the day, ask yourself, so you should have your own check-in. Did I nourish my body? Kumain ba ako ng mga balanced or a variety of foods? And nakuha ko ba yung nutrients na kailangan ko? So, isipin mo, puro ba ako fast food today? Puro ba ako sweetened beverages today? Anong kinain? Naggulay ba ako today? Did I move? So, kahit nag-walk ka man lang, or were you just at your desk the whole day? Did I hydrate, especially during hot or physically active days? Nakainom ba ako ng at least 2 liters of water for adults? And then, if nakapagpahinga ka ba? Recovery is part of wellness too. And not only that, also ask yourself, did I take care of my mind? Mental and emotional health matter just as much. So you also have to think, what does your body needs at this stage of your life. Because again, we have different needs and different priorities whichever part of our lives that we are at now. So wellness isn't actually something that we finish. It changes as we grow. Our lifestyle changes and as our bodies change. So this is about the food we eat, the way we move, how we rest, how we care for our minds, and the nutritional support we can choose from that journey. And you don't need to do everything perfectly. Start with one choice today that your future self will thank you for. Again, instead of asking yourself, am I doing everything perfectly? Ask yourself what is one thing that I can do for myself today that will benefit me in the long run? Thank you so much.